All right, everybody, welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're going deep on something that might seem basic at first, but trust me, even the most experienced firearms enthusiasts sometimes trip up on this one.
I've seen it happen.
Yeah.
It happens.
So we're talking about clips and magazines.
Yeah.
Now, you might be thinking, oh, come on, those are the same thing, right? But hold on, because knowing the difference between a clip and a magazine
Right.
isn't just about semantics. It's about understanding how firearms actually work.
Yeah. It gets to the heart of the mechanics of how guns work.
Exactly. So to kick things off, let's get right to it. What is a magazine?
Well, at its core, a magazine is really the heart of a repeating firearm. It not only stores the ammunition, but it also presents that ammunition ready to be fed into the chamber of the firearm.
Okay, so it's more than just like a box that holds bullets.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's actually a very important part of the feeding system of the gun. And without a magazine, most modern firearms would either be single shot or you'd have to go through a really tedious process of loading each individual round.
I see. So like the magazine is what allows for things like semi-automatic fire.
Exactly. It's that continuous feeding of ammunition
Okay.
that makes modern firearms what they are.
Okay. Now, I've heard people compare a magazine to like a vending machine. Is that a good analogy?
I think that's a great analogy because you've got your product in the vending machine. And when you put your money in and make your selection, it delivers it to you. The same way a magazine holds the cartridges, and then when the firearm cycles, it delivers that cartridge into the chamber, ready to be fired.
Yeah, it makes sense. Okay, so we've got different kinds of magazines, right?
Yes, we do.
So what are the most common ones?
Well, the most common one you'll encounter is called a box magazine.
Okay, and that's the one that you see in like pistols and rifles and things like that.
Exactly. And inside that box magazine, you've got a spring
Right.
and a follower that pushes the cartridges up towards the top.
So it's always ready to go.
Always ready to go. And as the firearm cycles, it strips a round off the top, feeds it into the chamber.
Now, what about like lever action rifles? What kind of magazines do they usually have?
They typically have what's called a tubular magazine.
Okay. And that's where the ammunition is stored,
In a tube.
in a tube.
Yeah. Usually under the barrel.
Okay. So it's just like a line of bullets.
Yeah, think of it like a straw filled with bullets. And as you cycle the action, it feeds those bullets up into the chamber.
All right. So that's magazine.
That's magazines.
Okay. Now let's talk about the other half of this equation, the clips.
Yes. Now, this is where the confusion often comes in. Because people think that a clip is just like a mini magazine or that they're interchangeable terms.
Right, but they're not.
They are not.
Okay. So what is a clip?
Well, a clip is essentially a device that helps you load ammunition either into a magazine or directly into the firearm itself.
Yeah.
It's not part of the feeding system during firing. It's simply a tool for loading.
Okay, I'm starting to get it. So it's like a speed loader almost.
Exactly. It's all about efficiency and speed.
Okay.
Especially if you think about military applications. Being able to reload quickly in a combat situation is critical.
Yeah, that makes sense. So let's talk about some different types of clips
Right.
because I always thought a clip was a clip. But, there's different kinds, right?
There are several different types of clips, and they all serve slightly different purposes. One of the most common types is called a stripper clip.
A stripper clip. Okay, what is that?
Well, a stripper clip is essentially a strip of metal that holds a number of cartridges, usually 5 or 10, and it allows you to quickly load those cartridges into a magazine. So instead of loading them individually, you can just push that stripper clip down into the magazine and load all the rounds at once.
It sounds pretty efficient.
It is very efficient. And these were very common in bolt-action rifles like the Mauser 98.
Oh, okay, so that makes sense. Like for a military application.
Absolutely. In World War II, being able to reload your rifle quickly was a matter of life or death.
Right. So that's the stripper clip.
That's the stripper clip.
Right. What else do we have?
Well, another interesting type of clip is called an en bloc clip.
And block clip.
And this one is actually loaded directly into the firearm itself.
Oh, wow.
A classic example of this is the M1 Garand rifle.
The Gary, yeah, I've heard of that one.
Because the en bloc clip holds 8 rounds of .30-06 ammunition, and it's inserted into the rifle. And then when the last round is fired, the clip is ejected out the top of the rifle.
Oh, really?
The very distinctive ping sound.
So that's the ping that everybody always talks about.
That's the ping, and that's actually a sign that you need to reload.
So you know exactly when you're out.
Exactly.
Okay. Any other interesting clips that we should talk about?
Well, one more that's quite popular particularly with revolver shooters, is called a moon clip.
Moon clip. What's that?
Well, a moon clip is a circular clip that holds a number of rimless cartridges, and it allows you to quickly load and unload all the chambers of the cylinder at once.
Okay, so that's more for like speed reloading.
Exactly. It's very popular in competition shooting, where time is of the essence, and you need to get those rounds in and out of the cylinder as quickly as possible.
That makes sense.
Okay.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
We've talked about magazines, we've talked about clips, different types of both. Why is it so important to get this terminology right?
Well, I think there are a couple of reasons. First of all, clear communication, especially when you're talking about firearms, is essential for safety.
Right.
If you're using the wrong terminology, it can lead to confusion,
Mm-hmm.
misunderstandings,
Mm-hmm.
and potentially even dangerous situations.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Imagine you're trying to explain a malfunction to
Yeah.
somebody, and you're using the wrong words for the parts of the gun.
That could be a real problem.
That could be a big problem. And then beyond safety, I think it also shows a deeper understanding of firearms. When you use the correct terminology, it demonstrates that you know what you're talking about, that you've taken the time to learn, and that you respect the subject matter.
Okay, so it's about safety, it's about clear communication, it's about respecting the history and the technology of firearms.
Absolutely.
Okay, so to sum it all up, what are the key takeaways here?
Well, the key takeaways are that magazines and clips are two different things. They serve different purposes. And the terms are not interchangeable.
Gotcha.
A magazine is part of the firearms feeding system. It holds the ammunition and feeds it into the chamber. A clip, on the other hand, is simply a loading device. It helps you get the ammunition into the magazine, or in some cases, directly into the firearm.
Right, so remember, folks, next time you're talking about guns, use the right terms.
Yeah,
It matters.
It does matter.
Now, after learning about all this, I can't help but wonder, how have clips and magazines influenced the evolution of firearms?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think it's something for all of us to ponder. Because these seemingly simple devices have really played a significant role in the development of firearms. From the early days of single-shot muskets to the modern semi-automatic and automatic weapons we have today.
Yeah, it's amazing to think about how much, these little pieces of metal have really changed warfare, changed hunting, changed sport shooting.
Absolutely. And it makes you wonder what the future holds. You know what innovations are coming down the pipeline that will further revolutionize the way we feed ammunition into our firearms.
That's a great question, and I think that's a great place to leave it for today.
I agree.
Thanks for joining us on The Deep Dive, and we'll see you next time.
See you then.